What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about the Holloway versus Allen card going down this weekend from Kansas City, Missouri. 14 fights going down this weekend in the big UFC cage. Always nice to have a fight night in front of the crowd. And I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Ozzy. How are we doing this week, my man?
Hola, doing all right. I had to miss live the last the pay per view. I think I might have watched like a few of the prelims, but yeah, that was a interesting card overall. Some movement in the rankings and all that. And now we're debuting Kansas City here, so a few intriguing fights close to the top of the card. So let's see what we could do.
Yeah, I mean, last pay-per-view was pretty great. Don't think the prelims were that memorable. Kelvin and Curtis had a really good fight, but the main card I just thought really worked out pretty well. The co-main event sucked, but I mean, we predicted it would suck. Predicted, Burns by decision.
That fight wasn't that bad.
It wasn't terrible, but in terms of like Masvidal, being like a star and being popular in Miami, like that pretty much went as bad as it could, like entertainment wise for people in the arena. And then Rodriguez winning was cool. Font Yanez, that was amazing. All right, and then obviously the main event was incredible KO. I got a question for you, Ozzy. Some people throwing around like best knockout ever. Like, do you think this is
No,
like
no.
what, top 5, top 10, like, or what?
I mean, I don't think you know why it's like that for me. I know maybe some people they'll feel really good about like, oh man, like the placement, I guess, whatever, the strike was great. But yeah, I just feel when you punch guys and you're clipping them like kind of like towards the ear, like that back of the jaw area. I feel like it's like a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. Do you understand what I mean? Like, I don't really love it as much, like visually, like, oh my god, such a crazy kill. Hey, the amazing part was it, or awesome part of it was like when they slow mode, like how he kind of like used the distance and the cage and how he was kind of a little bit hurt before that, and he had just stayed in there and kind of was ready to exchange, which is what I love to see. You love seeing guys that are ready to commit when a guy's in their range. But I wouldn't put it like I'm not going. It's like I don't even think I put it like top 10. So.
Yeah, I saw that you tweeted about it. First time you tweeted like some.
I wouldn't. Yeah. Oh no, I thought it was a great KO, but I'm not. I don't think it was like The thing is, I don't have like a current top 10 list or top 5, so I'm not gonna start making it
Yeah,
and put
that's
that
true.
one.
I
That'd be
think
the first one, but it was a great knockout.
Yeah, I think like maybe 10, top 10, 20 best ever. It was pretty amazing considering just the context of it all, and it was pretty brutal as well. But that was awesome.
I
Um,
was nervous for him. I thought Pereira
it
was
was going
gonna
bad.
start
Yeah, I
hurting
thought it was
him.
going bad. He
I
turned
thought,
it. Yeah,
but
that's what kind of made it, because I saw the line disappear on live lines, and I kind of knew something was going to happen. And then seeing Pereira swarming him, you're thinking, oh, he's going to find the kill, and then it kind of all turns on a dime, and Izzy's the one who kills him. So that was pretty great. I was dead wrong about my boy GM3 Joe Pfeiffer. The train keeps on moving. Somewhat right on my girl Sam Hughes though. She came through for a big winner, but pretty successful card overall. Um, any other thoughts you want to give on that one before we move on?
no. Other than those like few fights, like I didn't think anything was that press. I hear Christian Rodriguez called out what's his name Simon what's it called? Simon
Oh
fuck.
yeah, Oliveira, that dude.
No, the Cameron
Yeah,
Simon.
yeah.
So
Oh,
that
that's
that'll
my.
be I think that would be a good fight. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
that's what I meant. I kind of meant that. But that Simon Oliveira is another fighter too. That's incredible. Garcia KO was cool, and our boy Chase Sherman unfortunately got bumped from the card.
But
That
let's
was
get
that
into
was
this
sad
card
news.
here. Let's get going.
Bantamweight fight in the first fight, Jocelyn Edwards, Lucy Pudilova. The odds for this one, Pudilova, -131, Jocelyn Edwards +111 on the comeback. So I think the striking here should be competitive. Either woman could win. I guess you can give a slight advantage to Edwards, but if there's any grappling advantage here, it's going to be Pudilova. I mean, she came out with her wrestling shoes on last fight, used it really effectively to win the fight. And you got to think she's probably going to try to do it again here. I mean, it just won her the last fight. Edwards has been outgrappled thoroughly before, especially by Jessica Rose Clark, who post knee surgery, I think it's the only fight Rose Clark has won after that knee surgery, and she just dominated Edwards on the mat there. So, I mean, the path is there. I'm not one for endorsing women's MMA favorites, but I think it's Pudilova a pass here. I mean, she has like minus 400 upside if she hits takedowns here. So
Edwards missed weight her last fight, and I think it definitely helped her against a smaller, girl that was coming up in weight already. So that was unfortunate. Here she's gonna fight a girl more her size, Pudilova. Some of the stuff that I saw from her in her last fight, her return to the MMA or to the UFC was good. I thought, the grounding was good. How she was diving at the legs, finishing, kind of prioritizing controls in the positions that she needed to, and then even on in the clinch as well, which is something you'd like to see. Similar to like what Jessica Rose Clark did to Jocelyn Edwards, is Pudilova was keeping her underhooks. She was working her knees in there. So it was a pretty good performance overall. And then I think at range, even her hands are not bad. I'm gonna probably pass in this fight, but I would definitely lean towards Pudilova, I would say. But Edward could easily win the fight. I mean, she's long. Slight interruption there. I was just saying Edwards is long. For the division, I think she has, or compared to Pudilova, she has like 2 or 3 inch reach advantage here. But I'll probably be passing on the fight overall. Edwards could easily win the fight just poking at her and staying on the outside. But with all those kicks that she's been throwing of late and using that as part of her game, I think Pudilova was probably going to be looking to grab those and convert them into takedowns.
yep, I largely agree there. So next fight's going to be men's bantamweight division now. Gaston Bolaños taking on Aaron Phillips. Bolaños making his UFC debut as the minus 181 favorite. Aaron Phillips plus 156. Bolaños, a former kickboxer, coming over to the UFC. Definitely seems like the UFC scraped the bottom of the barrel to get him an opponent here. You think Phillips is anywhere good enough to give him some trouble?
I don't know who the management team for Bolanos is, but obviously that played a role here. Um, Phillips is kind of like an experienced guy overall. He's had a bunch of time off. I just think after getting his ass whooped, the fights that they offered him, he probably was like, it's probably biting off more than he could chew, considering the pay as well. But here, I think this is a fight that he feels that he can win, specifically with some grappling. Here, he also comes from some kind of like a Muay Thai kickboxing base. I think he'll switch up the stances a little bit. But I think that he could definitely be competitive with Bolanos in this fight. Ideally, looking kind of get in the clinch, underhooks, get a takedown, and then test his ground game. But this is a very low level fight overall.
It is, and he's Sucker Punch Entertainment, Brian Butler. Interesting, same manager as Aaron Phillips, though. So these guys, think that probably helps like the goes the distance here, if anything. Yeah, I mean, Phillips seems not that good. I mean, I was just refreshing my mind. Obviously, he got smushed by Jack Shore. That's not really relevant here. But I was watching his fight right before we got to the UFC versus Ariston Franca. This dude is getting his ass kicked in that first round. Like he's getting taken down and pounded out, and he was like seconds away from being stopped, and the guy just completely was dead tired. And Phillips got him from that point on. But I mean, he
Don't
was
hate on him. That guy's got a black belt, bro. You don't see his topology picture.
yeah, I do now. But 12-7 MMA fighter definitely. I mean. Still,
He's a
it
finisher, bro. Finisher. 7
I
submission wins.
I
3 in the
feel
first
like,
round.
yeah, the sub is probably worth a poke. You saw, I know Ozzy saw this picture of Phillips training with Don Hare and, what's the alopecia guy's name? Gary Tonin.
You motherfucker, you know his name, bro. Don't make
And, so, I mean, the path to victory seems fairly clear, right? I mean, Bolaños is certainly going to be sharper than this guy on the feet. And he seems to be getting better at the MMA range of things. But Bolaños' grappling, looks pretty weak. I mean, he got choked out with that guillotine in one of his fights. The guy didn't even hit a takedown. He just, wrapped his arm around the head while standing and jumped guard, and that was good enough to sub him. So, you got to think that Phillips has been grappling a lot longer, and that's where his biggest edge is. So plus 1,000 for sub, I wouldn't even knock a play against inside the distance, because if he's on top and not getting the sub too easily, he might just let the hands go with ground and pound. Just the ITD lines, plus 100 or plus 1,000 for what the fuck, plus 100 for Bolaños, and then plus 400 for Phillips. I mean, would it really surprise anybody if Bolaños just
Phillips's biggest problem, dude, is that he looks like a little boy and he's just not strong. So He's gonna
3 years
have to
off.
be he's gonna have to be like, yeah, I mean, but he looks skinny as fuck. He's gonna have to be opportunistic. 'Cause I do not see
Yes.
him winning a lot of minutes here, and I think Balanos is in shape. So
I agree.
I don't
A
know.
great analysis.
Yeah.
He's not winning minutes. If he's winning, it'll be like a moment where he finishes the fight, in my opinion.
So
So
yeah,
take
something
the
like that.
ITD as a flyer on the sub. Next fight, what is this? Women's strawweight. Bruna Brazil taking on Denise Gomes, and the line for this one: Brazil minus 145, Gomes plus 125. Bruna Brazil. That's a fucking sick name, especially being from Brazil. Imagine if America was like a common last name in America. Anyway, Bruno looks pretty legit. I mean, her kicks are fast. Nasty head kick knockout on her contender series. She can even hit a takedown or something. And Gomes to me just looks a lot slower. She's pretty much exclusively a striker. I think Gomes grappling is not very good. Loma took her down easily several times, and I just think that Brazil probably has an advantage on the feet here and might even be able to hit takedowns and keep Gomes on her back for long periods of time. So I lean Brazil here as well. Won't see me endorsing a bet on a woman at minus 145, but if there's any bet to be made here, it is Brazil or nothing. Any thoughts here, Ozzy?
Honestly, not that much, man. I mean, I liked what I saw from Bruna Brazil, the small bit that I've seen. She also is from my year as well. But I mean, she obviously is hip to the whole MMA thing. It's not like the girl. Her debut was against Carnelossi, so she's tough for sure, right? Like they don't give you Carnelossi if like Carnelossi fought. Ah, that's funny. She fought Amanda Ribas, and then the next fight was Bruno Brazil. So that's funny. They obviously in Brazil they get down, dude. If you can't fight, they're fucking finding out early. But so she's obviously hip to it. She's got like a decent Muay Thai game, like good kicks, like you said. Like she'll even look to go for submissions a bit. But that's a little bit of the scary part, I think, here because Gomez, I'm gonna call her Gomez, it looks like her. I don't know, the Loma fight, they're obviously exchanging a lot of positions. It was, back and forth. It was a lot of things are going on there. But I feel that Bruna can't. She's young enough in her fight career that she can let fights get put into like a certain area that she doesn't want it to be within. Um, but I think she'll probably stay at range, be able to just hit this girl because this girl's defense is pretty bad. But hopefully they're not exchanging submissions too much because that just introduces a lot more variance into it. And with seeing that people are betting on Gomez, it kind of makes me want to be like just stay away from the fight. But we'll see. It's going down a lot.
That kind of almost tempts me more to bet her because I see that people are the betting Gomes. I'm fading the CLV, fading the steam here. I think Brazil sub 10-1 might be worth a poke here. Um, Next fight, Daniel Zellhuber versus Lando Vannata in the lightweight division. The odds for this one: Zellhuber minus 129, Vannata plus 109. About as awful as a UFC debut can go for Zellhuber there. You think
Trey
he
Ogden
bounces
maybe
back
he's
here?
good. Maybe Trey Ogden's good.
That's a big maybe, but, you think he's gonna, have I mean, certainly he has to have a better performance here, but you think he's, got enough in the tank early on here to beat Lando Vannata?
I mean, I'm thinking the angle that I'm thinking here is that this fight will go long, just because Lando, 155 now again, hasn't really knocked any. Like, when's the last time he dropped Yancey or
I thought it was,
yeah, but I just felt that maybe he hit Yancey with a few good punches, but other than that, it's been a while, dude, since that Matt Frevola fight, right? And we've seen Matt Frevola's chin, right? So, you know, at 155 with a kid like Zellhuber who's long, who obviously, people are mad at him about the Trey Ogden fight, right? About not mixing it up with him. But what does that mean, dude? That means that he could probably do the same shit here and kind of just pick away at Lando. He's got a 6 inch reach advantage, right? 6 inch reach advantage, 3 inch or 4 inch height advantage. And I think honestly the grappling, I think Lando has okay grappling, but I just don't think he can do that in terms of using it to finish a fight. So I kind of like this fight to go later. I like Zellhuber a little bit in this fight.
Interesting. Didn't expect
Yeah.
you to like him, but I agree with it going long. It should. Um, I see very little finishing potential for Lando here. If anyone's finishing the fight, it'll probably be Zellhuber by KO. But Lando is pretty tough historically. He knows how to like not stay in the pocket. So if he's getting hit with some shots here, I think he'll mix in the clinch. He'll attempt to wrestle. I think he will come out looking to wrestle. He did in a recent fight of his versus Jourdain, just saw the opportunity, tall, lanky guy without really good takedown defense, and he took advantage of it. It didn't go too well for him for very long, but I can definitely see Lando having some wrestling success here. I don't think I'm not as super enthusiastic about betting Lando. I would be skeptical about laying any juice on Zellhuber just because he looked so horrible in his last fight, which should have been a stylistic layup for him. I think a lot of it had to have been, mental side of things, nerves, because he had an amazing back and forth fight with Almeida in the Contender Series. Just a war, striking war in that fight, and then he looks completely scared and shy versus Trey Ogden, who is a terrible striker, quite frankly. So, you got to think Zellhuber is probably going to come out here trying to prove something. Uh, and maybe just wait to live bet Lando. Zellhuber might start fast. Um, I don't know though. I don't knock any plays on Lando here. I do think it is dog or pass from a pre-fight situation. I agree with odd overs, and the GTD seem pretty good here. So we'll move on to the third and final women's fight on the card, strawweight division. Pierre Rodriguez taking on Jillian Robertson here, and the odds for this one: Robertson minus 130, Pierre plus 110. I remember when this line first dropped, I was thinking, "Oh, Jillian plus 150, that's interesting." And then I looked like a couple days later, I wasn't paying attention to it, and she was the favorite. So the line moved pretty quick. A lot of people jumped in on Jillian uh, early on, and the line is staying about the same. Which is interesting because limits have gone up obviously this week probably, and you're not really seeing much buyback on Piera. Hold on one sec. Just had some neighborly motorcycles driving by. So anyway,
That's the neighborhood, the cul-de-sac watch crew came by, right?
exactly. And so thinking about this fight, I mean, seems pretty clear that Pierre will be the better striker. I mean, Jillian is almost never the better striker than her opponents. But I think the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu is a big question mark here. Who will get the better of these grappling exchanges? And I can guarantee the grappling exchanges will ensue here. Although I was wrong. I think I listened back to a fight. I said Pinheiro was there's a minus 900%
Of a
chance
head and arm throw.
that there was going to be a head and arm throw, and there wasn't.
There were
So
none.
I lost that bet big
Yeah.
time. But this fight, it has to involve grappling. They're going to be exchanges where I think both women are probably on top throughout the fight. And we got to know Jillian going down to 115 here, first time in forever. I was thinking, oh, maybe it was what 2 or 3 years ago. Jillian moved up to 115. It was like 6 or 7 years ago. She hasn't fought at 115 in forever.
This bitch been
And
yo,
looking at,
she's only 27, dude. She's been around for forever.
yeah, she
This
was on
girl's had a
tough.
lot of fights, dude. She even had 9 amateur fights.
Yeah. She's a lifer. You gotta love Julian, or Jillian, excuse me. Um, anyway, she looks trim though. I mean, you look on her Instagram, you look on her OnlyFans, very trim. She looks like she's probably not gonna have too tough of a weight cut because she's already dieted down so well. But you still gotta wonder how it's gonna affect her cardio. I think at 125, obviously she's a terrible striker. I think one of her best attributes is that she had good cardio. She could eat some shots early on, and she could, work through that, eventually get her takedowns, and then get her top game going. But at 115, man, I could see her cardio not being as reliable in that second and third round, and that kind of gives up a lot of her style. She really wears on women in the cage, and I don't know if she's going to be able to do that here with the weight cut. But I do lean Jillian. I will be leaning all three women's MMA favorites here, but I cannot let myself bet any of them. Um, and I think Oh, just rewatching Pierre's fight against Kay Hansen, man. Kay Hansen took her down 2 times, double legged her. Kay Hansen passed her guard. She was on top, and then full guard. 45 seconds later, she passed the side control. So I'm thinking that if Hansen can take her down, pass her guard, Jillian should be able to do that as well. And then I think Pierre is just probably going to be a bigger dog live. So if you like Pierre, um, I would probably advise waiting to see how she deals with the takedowns before. And I think Jillian will do enough to get her hand raised here. I'm not sure how she'll get it done. I think I lean decision. Last thing I can't believe I went on so long about this fight and didn't get to this point earlier. But the fight going to the decision is the best bet on the fight. It's plus 100. Do they really think the women are finishing a fight at 50%? Hell no.
Yeah, that's what they
Um,
think, Martian. They think
that's
that Jillian's
bullshit.
gonna submit her.
No, yeah, but they also have Rodriguez KO at plus 325, which is where the
They
GGD
think
is
that
wrong.
they think that Jillian's gonna give up.
That's wrong. That's bullshit.
He's
I
not.
mean, no. I mean, bro, it's a women's KO at
I'm
plus
just asking. I
325.
don't, bro. I don't know.
That's
I'm
horrible.
saying. I
Yeah.
feel like you gave me a lot of the factors of why she'll give up. Her striking's horrible. This time cutting down to 115.
But
Uh,
that's
you know.
that's another good point. Is that she'll concede bottom in the second half of the fight, like she did against Talia Santos. Once she realizes that she's like outmatched, she's not gonna fool around on the feet. She'll like pull guard and shoot weak takedowns. And Piera is happy to oblige, staying on top. So I
Got it.
think if it's not going well for her, she'll probably just have some, Jacqueline Amarin
Okay.
style takedowns
Got it.
and then end on bottom.
Got it. So your pick
GTD.
is Jillian. So
Pick is GTD.
I think took all of our allotment for that fight. I would
Yep,
just
I agree.
say that I'll go with Piera.
Okay, good to know. I'm gonna bet GTD right now actually for this fight, plus 100.
Okay.
Um, okay, moving on. The fight that everyone's been talking about. We are back in 2006, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Herman taking on Zach Cummings in this one light heavyweight division. Zach Cummings retirement fight, and he still comes in at the minus 210 favorite. Ed Herman plus 180. Ozzy's been hitting me up all week about this fight. He's dying to talk about it. Finally, let's hear your analysis for this one.
So obviously, I have to tell you guys that if you haven't watched Kendall Grove versus Ed Herman from 2006, please do that. Check that fight out. That fight, I watched that fight, and 3 weeks later, dude, I was in jujitsu. 3 weeks to the day, bro, Martian. I'm telling you, I was like, I gotta go. I saw Kenny Florian in the main event choke Sam Stout's bitch ass out, that bitch ass Canadian, and and I was like, all right, I'm in. Like, this is definitely the best because Kenny Florian looked like classic IT guy. But but anyway, yeah, you got this fight here. They're moving up to 205. Ed Herman got his leg chopped off in his last fight, but you don't really know what he's looking to do in none of these fights. Is the problem? Probably like he should morph into Don Fry, kind of be looking a dirty box like Randy Couture, all those kinds of things. But I don't really think that's gonna be that effective against Zach Cummings. Zach Cummings for all like he's always been a tough guy, never been knocked out. Only been finished twice, and that's by submission. And he's a southpaw, throws a pretty good jab, with a cross behind it, decent kicks. The biggest issue with him is that he had like back surgery and was fucking crippled for a little bit. That's never good. I'll tell you, I threw my back out about a month ago. And my shit was fucked up for it was only about 3, 4 days, but I'm still young. Um, and so yeah, it's not bad for him. But if he is at all, I don't know, if he can move at all, stay away from Ed Herman clinching him, and it is able to throw any semblance of a left kick, I think he should win.
Man, this is tough to give much, legit analysis on. These guys are both, national treasures. Uh, rewatching Zach Cummings' last fight, I mean, literally knocks ADC out with a head kick at the last possible second of the fight. That
That
shit
was
was
that
fucking
was amazing.
hilarious.
And he was the underdog or even money in that fight. I love that. And I it was like 1-1 going into the third round. And this was COVID times, I remember, and I was so fucking into that dumbass fight. Um and then when he hit him with that head kick, I was like, all right, like they can't rob us now. They can't.
I honestly thought like in that fight, his boxing defense is kind of jank. Like he kind of leaves his head wide up there, but he looked sort of quick in that fight for like being an old guy. Like he looked faster than ADC did, and ADC is probably several years younger. And you know, barring any major uh, depletions in his athletic abilities over the past few years, which is possible. He should still be a good bit quicker than Ed Herman. I mean, Ed Herman is like stuck in the mud type of slow. I mean, he hasn't fought in 2 years himself. Both these guys coming off long layoffs. So, I was kind of thinking about just the tempo of this fight. I don't think there's any point in like predicting who's gonna win the fight. I think if anything, I would not advise laying minus 210 on Cummings. So it has to be dog or pass. But thinking about if it's going to go over or under, I was initially thinking that like, oh, these guys are so old that they could die from any punch. But then I remembered, I mean, Ed Herman took a fucking beating from Alonzo Menafield and never quit. He took a beating from Mike Rodriguez and never quit. Got a little help from the referee there, and Ed Herman just doesn't hit hard at all. So I actually think this one will somehow stretch to a decision. Should be a sloppy 15-minute affair. I really don't think there's a single good bet to be made on this fight, guys. I mean, sit back and laugh at this one and save your bets for a better fight. Like the next fight, in the flyweight division, Munhoz-Gutierrez versus Brandon Royval. Munhoz-Gutierrez minus 210, Brandon Royval plus 180. Unfortunately, the best value on the line is gone. It was Nicolau earlier in the week, which I scooped up some of, minus 160. I think Ozzy did as well, but I won't fully divulge that. But you know what? It just seems like it seems a really good matchup for Nicolau. I mean, we've been pretty skeptical of Royval throughout his entire career, but for damn good reason. I mean, this guy, he pumps out a lot of volume on the feet. He has good ideas on the feet, but he's just his defense is so bad and he's not durable that he's getting caught in these exchanges all the time. So I think on the feet, Nicolau should have sharp enough counter boxing to hit him with some good punches here that probably sit Royval down. And Mateus is also skilled enough of a grappler, a top position player that he should be able to avoid all the bullshit that Royval does, that spastic subs off his back or throwing strikes off his back. I think Nicolau's top game is very competent, and I think honestly Nicolau should be capable of outboxing him and out grappling him here. So he has two ways to win. He's more durable. I think he's more likely to get a knockout here. And he's also probably, just more likely to win a decision because Royval, just not a good minute winner, as they say. So I like Brazil here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I took Nicolau when he was minus 156. And I've just been a fan of his his whole career. And I mean, I kind of was very adamant when Royval fought Pantoja that Pantoja was gonna beat him up or easily win. And that line was same that I bet Pantoja like minus 160. And I'm betting, I think Nicolau's on the same level as Pantoja overall. Maybe even a little bit cleaner, especially with the hands, and has shown decent cardio. Sometimes the fights get a little sketchy, but that guy's could fight 3 rounds. So I mean, people that are skeptical, like there's no time that Nicolau's there's like you've been that worried about this guy's gas tank. If anything, when he's throwing these strikes in the pocket, you kind of want him to just throw more strikes, right? Because he doesn't get tired in the third rounds, and you're like, wow, I wish that he would, just throw a few more strikes in there because it looks like he can. But when he does throw these counters, man, he hits hard, and it's not hard to hit Brandon Royval. What messes people up is when they get out of character, they lose composure. Nicolau doesn't do that. Nicolau, when he's striking, he'll stay even if the crowd's booing him, right? When he was fought Dvorak, if he wanted to, dude, he could have knocked David Dvorak the fuck out. Like every time he was swinging, he would be connecting with him. But he chose to circle around, stay away a little bit. And he's got a lot of rounds banked, like a lot of high level rounds with a lot of high level guys, and is not one to get caught very often. So I think Brandon Royval is kind of like new age, kind of like skills spammer guy. Um, Gets hurt often, kind of wins by the skin of his teeth, gives up position. So I like Nicolau to clearly decisively win.
Nice. It's time for the last fight on the prelims. Featherweight division downtown. TJ Brown versus Bill El Senor Perfecto Algeo, in the featherweight division, and Bill Algeo minus 194, TJ Brown plus 169. So, what are you thinking about this matchup for our man Bill?
Cool fight for a Bill. I like it. I like how they're matching him up here for the boy. Two live events in a row as well, featured prelim, right? Now, all good stuff, right, Martian? All good things.
Actually, he fought in the Feely in the Apex, I think, didn't he?
Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
forgot that was the in between fight. But he would have beat Feely too if he didn't break his arm in that third round. He would have won that fight. And now we got a live event here though. But you know, TJ Brown's kind of like, I think he's like from somewhere around there. But anyway, whatever. So you got two guys here. They're pretty well rounded. TJ Brown, you know, I remember watching this contender fight and I was impressed with his wrestling, like his mat wrestling specifically. Like he would move around a lot and got kind of get to good position. So that was pretty good by him. Little underwhelming going 3-3 in his UFC career, in his UFC run, you know, losing to Griffin. All very winnable fights, right, Martian? If you think about his losses, like the Griffin fight was like, what are you doing? The Chavez fight, it's like, what are you doing? The Nerlin-Bekov fight, it's like, what's going on here?
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
he's kind of like he makes a few bad decisions here and there, but the last fight was a good step for him because he saw the advantage that he had and then he pressed the advantage and then he got to the position that he's really good in with that arm triangle. But I'll tell you right now, Bill-Algeo is impossible to submit, guys. This guy is like, you know, a slippery goose. Like it's crazy. Um, so I don't think he's gonna get caught with stuff like that. But you know, he is a guy who he will get put into these positions. So could I see TJ Brown, you know, getting on top, you know, maybe a top half guard, whatever. He has like a choke or a position, and he's kind of holding it, and some clock bleeds. Yeah, I could see that. But on the feet, if Bill commits to his volume and his Muay Thai approach, I think that TJ Brown hasn't seen that all that much from a guy who can mix that up. And then if he needs to do a lot of takedowns, both lower body takedowns and upper body, because Bill does have some Greco. So I think he should be able to pull it out, but at minus 200, it's a little expensive here. Going against another guy who's a bit well rounded and could, you know, hang with him in a few areas. But I do think at the end of the day, our boy Bill-Algeo will prevail with the victory here and set up hopefully a good next fight for him.
Yeah, my bad if we heard a little more motorcycles. It's
We didn't. I didn't hear
it's
it.
summer.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, it's summer in the Philly suburbs, so you know the bikes will be out. But speaking of Philly suburbs, you know the king of the the king of the Philly suburbs, Balanos-Phillips fighting in this fight. Good friend of the podcast. TJ Brown, you know, he's cool in my book too. This is really good matchmaking. These guys are right around the same tiers. You know, I think this is a really well made fight. And a fight that I've seen before. I think this one will look a lot similar to the Joe Anderson Brito fight. Um, and just Bill fights in general. I mean, he's generally a guy who starts slow in round one. Round two is typically his best round. You know, round 3, he usually has a close round with but, usually gets the better of the guy in the 3rd round. And I think that's what's gonna happen here is that in round 1, we will see TJ Brown take down Bill. Um, TJ didn't wrestle in college, but he is, you know, definitely has, like, a wrestling pedigree, and um, he will get takedowns on Bill here. Bill, his takedown defense isn't great. He's been working on it over the past few years, and it's getting steadily better. But he definitely is there to be taken down. And as Ozzy said, he will be put in bad positions. You won't submit him, but he will be put in bad spots. We've seen him, you know, time and time again in the UFC, especially, you know, Herbert Burns fight, fully locked in triangle. Andre Feely had the back. And TJ Brown's probably gonna attempt an arm triangle or two here. And but I just think eventually at some point in this fight, TJ Brown will be out grappling him, and then Bill is going to turn it around and he will be the one on top. I think at some point, Bill will just end up on top. We'll reverse this. I just think Bill's got the better jujitsu, to be honest. I think you just see Brown show a little bit of that susceptibility in the jiu-jitsu, like in that Jordan Griffin fight, which is, you know, inexplicable how he got submitted from that position. I think we'll see, you know, Bill hit a sweep here, maybe get his back take and then turn that back take. I think we actually might even see like Bill like almost deliberately give up his back. Like say if he's in a bad spot like half guard or full or mounted or something, he'll give up his back and he'll defend for a second, and because he knows he's eventually going to turn that back date, just like he did versus Joe Anderson Brito. And then I just think Bill's, you know, a level or two ahead on the feet here. I think he's, you know, clearly the more layered and versatile striker, especially in the clinch. and Bill will just put it on him in the second and third round and win a decision here. It'll be a close fight. It might even be a split decision. And because of that, I would not advise laying 2-1 on Bill. I think Bill will get his hand raised. Will be a good live bet. Bill's almost always a better live bet. Halfway through or at the end of round one. And I'm pretty confident this one goes the full 15 minutes as well. A lot of good GTD lines this week. There's like a lot of like minus 200 GTDs that should hit.
And
Um,
what I would say too is the difference of, let's say, ground ability or grappling that TJ Brown's going from the last dude Eric Silva he fought to Bill is just like a crazy big jump up. And there are some positions there that where the dude Eric Silva just not even trying to get out of some positions. So I think people were sharp to not let that affect their betting of the fight, as we've seen with people taking Bill from he's been steamed. This is like a 60 cent move. It's been a pretty aggressive move.
yeah, but I mean, TJ was so undervalued in that last fight. I
He
mean, I think
was.
the market is generally pretty low on TJ, so that could mean I think if there's a pre-fight side, it's TJ here. So main card time. Clay Guida versus Rafa Garcia. Guida and Ed Herman both made their UFC debuts 17 years ago, back in
Guido
2006,
was on
still
that
trucking
card
along.
too. He was on that one.
I don't know about that exact same card, but it was
Oh,
2006 when he
okay,
made his debut.
okay. I remember Guido. I remember him.
Rafa Garcia minus 265, Clay Guida plus 225. I mean, Clay Guida fights are always close. They're always grinding, type of wrestling against the cage type of fights. And, Rafa Garcia sort of has a similar style. He's basically just like a 13-year younger Mexican Clay Guida when you think about it, with a buzz cut. So I
Are
think,
you sure that Clay Guido is not Mexican?
no, I'm not. He's definitely like a Neanderthal of some sort, but I don't know about Mexican.
Wow.
Um, So, I mean, I just think Garcia, if you look at his past few wins, he's typically been wrestling his way to win. But I think that's not going to be as easy of an option here because Guida is still a solid wrestler, not easy to take down. And if he takes Garcia, or if he takes Guida down, I think he's giving up the possibility for him to get reversed and just embrace that Clay Guida grind where he's going to have his back to the cage and Guida is going to be attempting single legs. They're not going to be working, but he's going to be holding him against the cage. I mean, we've seen this so much from Guida in his last few fights. So Rafa's biggest advantage is keeping it at distance. I mean, he should box Guida up at distance, but the guy doesn't hit very hard. But Guida just seems, obviously he's super old, and at that point the durability and everything could fall off at any moment. So for a guy that should have the pretty clear striking advantage and is almost a 3-1 favorite, I think Garcia KO at 9-1, 10-1 is a good poke here. Um, our boy Pepe was endorsing this one. He also mentioned Garcia KO round one, which is like over 20-1 odds or something. So, um, what are you thinking here? Any thoughts?
And this is like this fight is just gonna devolve into just two pit bulls fucking fighting it out, playing tug of war with, fucking,
Sorry, Chad.
yeah, two pit bulls just fighting it out because like you said, I feel like, some of the takedowns that Hoffa goes for, I don't really see those kind of working that well on like a guy so little like stocky and you know Clay Guida, I feel like he's like the kind of guy like he'll, just like a little block of the takedown, and then he just starts flurrying on you, and then he'll go for a takedown, and then it'll just go back and forth like that. It'll be like, oh man, he's backing up. Hoffa Garcia's backing up. Clay's going for the takedown. Hoffa gets some underhooks. He pushes him off a little bit. He spins him against the fence. He throws some punches, and then he goes for, and then they just exchange that for the whole fucking fight. Because I don't really see anywhere else where one of these guys that differentiate themselves over the other. Hoffa does, I think, commit more on the strikes. And Clay, the Clay fight against Scott Holtzman though was a little weird to me because I still don't know how he won that fight. Um, feel like he could win that same exact way here, like literally the same way. But Hoffa is a smart fighter. Um, so I do like I would favor him just on the youth angle, but skill wise, because of where their strengths lie against each other, is seems like a very close fight to me. So I should bet Clay Guida, but I do not want to root for him, so I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I was in early in the week. I was kind of thinking Guida, but then I'm like 13 years older. Like, I mean, you can make up for a lot of skill deficit with a 13-year age gap.
Boy, Hoffa is underrated. People, not in this line, I'll say, but just overall, like he's pretty well put together. He's still young too.
I know I said GT. I know I said KO for Guida, but or Garcia, excuse me. But GTD here, I think seems good. I mean, Guida is not. There's no way I think Guida finishes Garcia, and Garcia. I don't know. I don't think he's. I don't think he's likely to finish him at all. I wonder what. Wonder what no scorecards is. It
But
has to be
I
heavily.
I will say that the one event I should Garcia is a better submission grappler than Clay Guida. So man, like I could see, like you saw, like there's some positions Clay does give up to be bad, but then on the other hand, you look at the fact that like this guy lost to Gritzmacher and now he's fighting fucking Clay Guida, right? It's like you're like, makes you wonder, right? Makes you think about it a little bit. So I couldn't. There's no you couldn't not bet Rafa Garcia at this.
Yeah,
Like no.
it's out of the question. I think and split here is like plus 425. Um, plus 400. I think that's not bad. Anyway, next fight is in the bantamweight division. Really good matchup here. Pedro Munhoz taking on Chris Gutierrez, and we have Gutierrez is the favorite at let's see, minus 205. Pedro Munhoz plus 175 in the comeback, and I think the money line is I wouldn't say it's about right, but I mean, I understand Gutierrez definitely should be favored. Maybe minus 150, 170 would be a little more appropriate, but I just think, I mean, he's going to be quicker than Munoz in there. And he's very elusive, very focuses a lot on footwork, doesn't really engage in a lot of exchanges. And I can just see Pedro having a hard time tracking him down in there. If, Munoz likes, he loves when guys stand in front of him. He's great at smashing leg kicks and boxing in the pocket, but when you have to go track your opponent down, track his opponent down, he doesn't do very well. And we saw that very recently against Dominic Cruz. And not saying Gutierrez is on that same level, but he does have sort of that same, elusive, kick heavy style
No,
as Cruz.
no,
So
no,
I could see it being very similar.
no.
Does Gutierrez not focus a lot on footwork and kicks?
I like Dominic
Does
Cruz,
he?
bro. This is not the same, bro.
It's yeah, but it's worth noting that he did struggle with a similar style matchup recently. Um, so I think this fight, the best
Dominic
bet on
Cruz,
this one.
if Dominic Cruz heard that you compare Gutierrez to him, he'd be upset. I just want you to know
I
that.
mean,
I just want you to
but
know that.
Gutierrez is very good.
I
I think
just
he's
want you
very
to
good.
know he would feel disrespected. I want that on on the record.
That's okay. I could deal with that.
Okay.
Um, so I think the best bet on the fight is the goes the distance. I already bet it at minus 170 to win 1 unit. I mean, Munoz, historically, one of the most durable guys ever. We've seen him take insane shots. Just got an incredible chin on him. And then, Gutierrez isn't going to submit him either. It has to be a Gutierrez KO if he's finishing Munoz. And the line is, my man, plus 325, plus 380. I know he knocked out Denan, he knocked out Edgar, but let's not forget that before that, he was going to the decision with bums, quite frankly. I mean, with really, really low level fighters, he went to the decision multiple times. I know those guys were grappling a lot of those fights. Colares, De Freitas, they had a lot of grappling. But he is not a big puncher. That's not his style. His style is to jab, to leg kick, the move. He did find some two massive shots with the spinning back fist and the knee for his KOs, but his style is not a KO fighter. So the I think the fighter more likely to finish would actually be Munoz, but I've seen good enough durability from Gutierrez that I think that that's not going to happen. Pedro just, uh, I don't know, man. I don't think he really builds on his success as much as he should. So I just think this one will be a close, striking decision. I see Gutierrez getting his hand raised by decision, but I just think the best bet is for this fight to go the full 15. Any thoughts here?
A lot of thoughts actually. And man, I have not really seen what the overall sentiment is on this fight. I for one, I am surprised to see Pedro Munoz at plus like 175, 180. Here you could get him. A few guys that I know feel the same way. And I mean, overall, it's just like, man, Chris Gutierrez, like, if you look at that Dana fight, you see the stuff that he does well, right? Creating space, flicking the jab out every now and then, kind of staying left and right. But he's losing that fight clearly to me, and then he kind of lands that great elbow. But even just some of his decision making, some of the like how he how he ends the first round there, Dana's not a grappling threat, so how or why he thinks it's good for the last 30 seconds to just not do anything. Like the first round is when you're supposed to have the most energy that you can have. You always want to punctuate rounds well. So I didn't like seeing that. And then, he parlays a spinning back elbow in a fight that he was losing and knocking out Frankie Edgar into being 200 minus 200 against Pedro Munoz. And when you think about that, that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense because Pedro, in his own right, has kind of like similar game. I feel honestly to Chris, just only that he's smaller. He's got shorter range, he's shorter overall, but he actually has a submission game. It's never been finished ever in his career. He's fought killers across the division. Five, has fought in a main event or right only one main event, but has great kicks. Throws to the body, comes up the middle, and I think that's going to be a big factor in this fight. The way that Pedro is able to throw strikes to the body, this guy Gutierrez likes to go left and right. A lot of times coming just straight down the pipe with that front kick. I think should go well. Maybe mixing a takedown, but he doesn't really go for takedowns. But I think here he could. I mean, Felipe Colares could take you down. Don't tell me Pedro Munoz can't get in on a double leg on this guy. And I just think it's a very good underdog shot because I feel even a large percentage of right, this guy's even money or a little plus money to win by decision. Gutierrez, I'm giving a large percentage of that is a contested decision, in my opinion. You know, so I feel like Pedro's just a very good bet overall.
I don't disagree that he's a side, but I don't think takedowns. I don't think he's gonna shoot any. He hasn't landed a
I mean, you
takedown
don't
in.
even need a line to take down though. You could just see a spinning strike coming and move over to the side and do what Denard did.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
Yeah, it could be there.
from there, he's a potent
He
finisher.
should try. He should try to do it. He's
Yeah,
got a
but
good
I mean,
guillotine.
but when you got two guys like this, or you got a guy like Gutierrez who likes spinning and likes kicking, like you don't need to have traditional takedowns to fight to go to the ground.
Yeah. Munoz no scorecard is plus 125.
I
One
love
more
that.
thing is
I
I just
love
think
that. I
that
love that one.
Munoz, although just shut him down so quickly with just being able to check his leg kicks, and with Gutierrez being such an intelligent striker, I think he will come prepared to check those leg kicks and skirt his way to a decision.
A lot of
Next
his
fight,
decisions are freaking close, man. Like this guy, I
they
don't
are.
think his third rounds are not that good. Like you see Pedro Munoz throwing down with Aljamain Sterling in the third round. Like I don't know if Gutierrez is gonna be liking that when if that comes to what he needs to do to win the fight. So
Next fight is in the light heavyweight division. We have Ion Cutelaba taking on Tanner Boser. Line for this one is Cutelaba favorite minus 134, Boser plus 114. I'm really excited for this fight because I'm probably gonna get rich on it, to be honest. I mean, I have a plus 650, or no, it's oh shit, it went up to plus 850 on FanDuel. I bet it at 750. It's now 850 on FanDuel. But that's Bosser round two. I just think this is like a guaranteed winner here, to be honest. With the way that Kulab has been fighting lately, this guy just running out of gas at a rapid speed. I mean, we see him just hit a wall. If the fight doesn't go exactly as planned, where he's taking guys down and keeping them down, it just seems like he kind of crumbles at it, the sign of adversity. And I think that he'll have enough steam to keep going through the first round. I mean, the guy comes out, his last five fights, he's come out like a bat out of hell, and he's been going really hard for takedowns, taking these guys down. Sometimes he beats them up, sometimes he gasses out and gets finished, but it just seems super, super clear that he's slowing down like consistently in this fight. So I think that Bosser is bad enough of a defensive grappler to where he probably will get taken down and put against the cage a little bit in round one. But then Cutelaba will slow, as he always does. Boser will take advantage, be the much fresher cardio fighter in the second and third round, and Boser's going to take him out in the second or third. I mean, I understand it. I guess it could happen as early as round one, but I really just think that the sweet spot is round two here. Plus 850, it's 1,000 on some books. Considering, I know the Cutelaba is going to come out hot and take him down, but considering I only think he has 5 minutes of gas, I don't really see how he could be the favorite in that scenario too. So I don't know if I'll get around to a Boss or ML play, but I think he is the money line side. He will be a better line live as well, and those round two and three props are real good.
Yeah, interesting fight here. You know, people have wanted Bozer to move down for a while. Wanted him to move down for a while. Now he's doing it. You know, I'm interested to see what the speed difference here is. You know, Cutelaba. You know, as much as you know, we talk shit about him. Obviously, like you said, he comes out hot. He hits hard. So he could potentially have a speed advantage here, and with the commitment that he comes in with that speed advantage, he could definitely finish you early on in the fight, especially a guy who used to be a heavyweight, starving himself right to get down to this weight class, right? It's probably not fun. So that's the only reason that I'm kind of a little bit gung ho about doing money line on Bozer, but I think I'm eventually gonna do it when this hits a certain plus point on the money line. But I do like those inside the distance props because, if this guy is able to just weather any kind of storm from Cutelaba, he's the kind of guy that Faber and Cutelaba and not stop. Cutelaba's a big bully. I think Tanner Bozer, he's fine being, standing up to that, taking what you got from him, and then coming back at you. So I think that's probably what's gonna happen here. So I like those props as well, but I also like in the money line overall.
All right, that's going to take us along to the next fight in the light heavyweight division. Dustin Jacoby taking on Azamat Murzakanov. Murzakanov technically still undefeated, but he is the underdog here. Dustin Jacoby minus 156, Murzakanov plus 136. Your turn to start this one off for the big boys.
Yeah, so on this one, I just kind of overall was leaning towards Jacoby in this fight, kind of just looking at it, feeling like he's gonna be able to keep the range, maybe launch off some leg kicks and then and then kind of chip away to a decision win. Then I started thinking about it a little more, and I'm kind of giving a little bit more respect onto the dynamism, word right, of Mirzakhanov, the speed that he has in the left hand, and the fact that he does kind of know how to use it. Like he does have some good angles. I liked how he landed that body shot against Devin Clark. That was pretty nice. Kind of how he was moving off to Devin Clark's left, right away from his power hand, and nailing him there. Obviously, this is a more advanced kickboxer in Dustin Jacoby, so it should be a much better matchup in that regard. But I do feel that that Mirzakhanov is alive here early. I do think that for a lot of the iterations of him winning the fight is kind of him landing some good strikes during the round in terms of hurting Jacoby maybe a little bit. So I'm gonna look for a live price just because I don't think this guy's cardio is very good. That in Mirzakhanov. So if he has to really work a lot, maybe use the clinch, kind of be in the underhook position, trade in positions with Jacoby, I do think Jacoby could wear him down, and I do like Jacoby in that third round. So it's all a matter of trying to see how to set up Jacoby and not lay too much juice just because I think I'm respecting Mirzakhanov in the first round. So that's where I'm at overall in the fight.
Yeah, I'm largely in agreement, but I honestly think I might have enough confidence in Jacoby to come around to a pre-fight bet. If this line keeps coming in, I want to get under minus 150. But I mean, I just think that this line is, being affected by like undefeated Russian. He's 12-0. His last name ends in on off, and I think people are probably just tailing that. But I don't know, man. This guy doesn't look any good to me. I mean, he's so short and fat, right? I mean, Jacoby's got to be what 4 or 5 inches taller than him. Yeah, 5 inches taller, 5 inches longer. The striking, I think, should be. I wouldn't say fairly one-sided, but I just think Jacoby isn't gonna be in any danger on the feet, man. I just think nothing Azamat does on the feet is gonna really, put Jacoby in danger. Maybe if Azamat can mix in like a wrestling attempt and get him against the cage and then use that cage to explode with a combination, I could see that working, but like at distance here, man, I just think Jacoby's gonna kinda cruise against this guy, just, jab him, pick him apart, and Jacoby did get burnt on his last decision. The guy's margins can be a bit thin at times. He got lucky. Didn't he get lucky against McCall getting a decision, I think? No, I know he won that one legit. But yeah, so he got lucky against somebody. Oh, Maxim Grishin, right? Wasn't
That fight, he won that did he get the decision there?
he won that
I
one, yeah,
thought
but I
I
think
thought
Grishin deserved.
yeah, I thought that Grisham won.
Yeah. So I just think I understand that Jacoby generally has close decisions, but uh Azamat's wrestling, man, is just nothing really special to me. I don't think that he's gonna take Bosser down, and I just think the entire fight should favor for Jacoby when it's on the feet. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Azamat's wrestling is good enough to get the fight down. But if it stays standing, I'm pretty confident Jacoby covers that price tag and wins his way to a decision. I understand the angle that Ozzy's talking about though with round three. Round three, Jacoby, what is that? 14-1. Yeah. And then I was looking at GTD earlier on in this week. I don't think I'm gonna come around to betting it, but um I think it's good. I think the lines on the finish props here are just off, which means GTD has to be value. So like like Jacoby KO 240, Murzakanov KO 320. Those prices are too low. I don't like either of those. Time for the co-main event. Amazing matchup here. Man, this is a great fucking matchup. This is just gonna be a guaranteed entertaining fight. There's Billy Quarantillo is probably top five most consistent entertaining fighters in the sport right now. And I can't wait to see this fight. So featherweight division, Edson Barboza, Billy Quarantillo. Odds for this one, Billy Q minus 171, Barboza plus 146. A little bit sad they never put together the Bill versus Bill matchup again. It was supposed to happen at one point in time. Maybe it could be after this though, depending how these guys' fights go. They will be on the same schedule. They just fall on the same day. But uh, I think that Barbosa is going to give Billy trouble here, right? The big cage has to be good for Barbosa here. He's still very fleet of foot, still moves pretty well, and his kicks are still potent. His hands can still work effectively at times. We saw that really good against Burgos, uh, and he did look, pretty bad in his last fight against Bryce Mitchell. But Bryce Mitchell, he has a much bigger takedown threat than Billy. And we just saw, Bryce just get his foot to the gas. He put the pressure on him early. He mixed in his strikes really well. He was actually able to rock Barbosa with the strike, which is something no one would ever have expected to happen. And then he just fucked him on the ground the entire fight. But that fight was basically over the second that Mitchell landed that punch, right? Like Barbosa was like, okay, I'm done. So I don't know if that fight is, super indicative. I don't think I'm ready to write Barbosa off as completely shot quite yet, because just, a little less than 2 years ago, we saw him look one of his best performances ever against Burgos. So um, I think Billy eventually will survive the early storm because the guy is crazy tough. He's probably gonna eat some shots in round one. He's probably gonna be the underdog after the first round, but I think eventually the nonstop pressure of Billy will get to Barbosa. Billy's really good in the clinch at mixing in strikes, maybe even a takedown or two, and I think he probably is gonna drown Barbosa in the second or third round here. But pre-fight, I think it's Barbosa or pass. Look to live bet Billy Q here. And then Billy Q, round two, round three, plus 600, plus 900, I believe, on those props. We've seen it time and time again. This guy comes on really strong at 2 and 3, and he could finish. I think the fight should just end ITD, period. Minus 130 for ITD for the fight to end at any time, I think is good. Interested to see if you agree. Give me your thoughts on that right off the bat, Ozzy. You think this one's ending by finish?
Billy don't play, bro. Billy don't go to decision, ideally. Okay? And so the how I think this fight, Martian was arguing with me before. I was telling this motherfucker how I thought the fight was gonna go, and then he starts berating me, telling me how I need to find a good plus money. Like I need to find a good plus money prop. So we're gonna
No,
get
good
into it.
bet. Good
We're
bet.
gonna get
A
into it.
good
Okay,
bet.
we're gonna get into it. All right, let's get into it because you helped. So, one thing that I see with Ezin Barboza, like, I just feel it like I kind of seen in some of his other fights. I feel this is where it's gonna go. Is that literally when you just don't give the guy a fight, where like you see how Shane Burgos fought him, just a little bit of a a dumbass. Just kind of if you don't put your hands on this guy, he's gonna fuck you up. But the great thing about how Billy Q fights is none of his fights are clean. He's looking to get dirty in there with you. He's gonna get the clinch. He's gonna get a tie clinch. He's gonna start kneeing, throwing elbows. He's gonna go for a takedown. He's gonna do all these kinds of things. If you're gonna be at the end with Edson Barboza trading jab, cross, hooks, and leg kicks, you're not gonna win. Or if you do win, it's gonna cost you a lot. And Billy, he's just always gonna be going forward. So here, yeah, he's gonna get hit, dude, for sure, 100%. Edson Barboza will hit Billy Q. Look at Billy Q's striking defense percentage, Martian. Are you looking at it right now? But if you're not, guess what it is. What do you think it is?
Billy Q's striking
Defense,
defense,
yes. So this percentage, right? So if it's like 55,
38.
38, you're very 40%, dude. So that means he gets hit with
Good guess.
60% of the strikes that come his way are hitting him. That's a lot, dude. That's a big amount. But
Bad long-term strategy,
also, if
probably.
you think about Edson Barboza, 56 of the percent of the strikes that he's throwing are missing. So we got a little bit of a little bit of a delta there. But either way, um, I just don't think that Billy's gonna allow that to happen. I don't think that he's gonna let this guy just be throwing leg kicks and for them to not be grappling at all. And you just saw it in the Bryce Mitchell fight, man. This guy on the ground is no good. His physical attributes have deteriorated
He can't get
more
up.
on the ground than on the
Yeah.
feet. Like on the ground, he is entirely hopeless, and Billy Q will tie him into a Billy Q's jiu-jitsu game is underrated. That's an underrated aspect of his game. His jiu-jitsu is legitimately good. Like he started, or like his gym where he was at, like their main thing was jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He
His
Billy
takedowns
by
are good, but
submission might be
he
good.
just wears on you in the clinch.
Billy
Yeah,
by submission might be good.
our boy Gugabe endorses that Billy sub.
Billy by submission, Billy round 2, round 3.
I like it. Main event time. Another amazing matchup here, featherweight division. One of the greatest fighters ever, Max Blessed Holloway, taking on the new kid in town on a 10-fight win streak, Arnold Allen here. We got Max Holloway minus 167, Arnold Allen plus 147. Two-way action coming in on this fight. Really good matchmaking, man. Another great fight, man. Your turn to start it off.
Yeah, featherweight fight, as you know, back before I started eating a lot. That's the I've always been locked in. Let's just say on the featherweights. And the biggest thing that always impressed me, or like some shit where I'm like, man, I can't. How am I gonna compete with this? Is the aerobic capacity of people like Max Holloway. You train, there's some of these guys, for me, it was a lot of these Mexican guys I used to train with. Their cardio is legit like they'd be like, we'd have to do like 100 burpees at the end of class. And man, these guys would be like 50 burpees ahead of like even guys that are like in good shape that like run marathons and shit. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? But the aerobic base that Max Holloway has and how he utilizes it is probably one of the best kind of like matches of attribute to fight style that you see in MMA overall. And I think that would bode well for him here because I do not think Arnold Allen has that aerobic base. You saw in the he needs to start listening to Peter Attia. But you saw in the fight against Calvin Cater, he's kind of like breathing a little. I'm not gonna get into, but the third round against Sadiq Yusuf, he kind of completely takes the round off. Doesn't really throw too much volume there. His kick game, he throws those head kicks, and stuff like that out. Right, he tries that double attack, but it really hasn't always been that clean for him overall. Like I think he like eye poke Nick Lentz a few times against Gilbert. Gilbert, by then he was shot, didn't try to defend any kicks really well. So he's not really ever gone against a guy who has like a significant threat with volume, speed, and timing like Max Holloway does. And we hope to see that. That's why the Calvin Cater fight was a super good test, but you didn't really find out too much from that. So I mean, early on in this fight, I do think Max Holloway, we'll see how aggressive he is. That's like the one thing that I'm kind of like trying to consider. when thinking about how the fight will overall play out. Because Arnold does hit hard, he does know where the chin is, kind of like when he's in the pocket with guys, he knows where the guys are going to be at, where he needs to throw these strikes, where to circle off to afterwards. But I think after a while, Max is gonna be able to track this guy down, start cornering him a little bit. Because Allen, he doesn't really fight off the back. You've never really seen him fight off the back foot. Like, this is why I'm trying to criticize, but you haven't really seen him fight off the back foot too much. But you don't want to fight against Max Holloway on the back foot anyway, but you haven't ever seen it. So what's gonna happen when he's getting a little tired and trying to circle away from Max Holloway, and Max is beating him to those spots and then uncorking 3, 4 shots? I don't think it ends up well for Arnold Allen. I think he's gonna lead some big strikes. I think he's gonna need to mix in some grappling. Maybe he's got a good trip game in the clinch, and I haven't really seen too many of his double legs, but he's yoked. Strong boy. He's getting some UK support, but I do have a few tickets on Max Holloway at -145, and I do think that there's good potential for him to finish this fight in the third or the fourth round.
Yeah, I agree, but it's a main event. And if you guys know the podcast, you know that I suck at predicting main events. And don't want to speak for Ozzy either, but like it's not his strong suit either. But he's not as bad as me. I'll tell you that is he's not as bad as me. But surely we gotta win one of these, right? I mean, like we gotta be eventually right at some point. But I agree. Max Holloway is the side here. I just when this fight got announced, I was thinking it might be Max's time. He might be done. And then something changed my opinion completely, and it was the Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett fight. I'm looking at Yair Rodriguez just looked great out there. I mean, those body kicks were nasty. He was so quick. He, eventually subbed the fight with a triangle. It was just such a sick performance and finish. And I'm like, Max Holloway arguably beat this guy like 5-0. Maybe he lost a round, maybe even two. They were competitive rounds, but Max just clearly got the better of him, outboxed him, outgrappled him. Uh, and the fact that Max was able to, he was able to have a close fight, but still soundly beat probably the fellow, top three featherweight, just proved that this guy is still probably capable of beating everyone in the division except for Alexander Volkanovski. Um, and I think Max will probably have a bit of a rough start here. And I bet him at -164. The line will probably end around that same price. I don't think I'm gonna get like CLV or anything, but I understand if people wanted to wait on Max Holloway to live bet here because Arnold Allen has come out in round ones really well lately. He does seem like a front loaded fighter. Ozzy was making a lot of points about cardio, and I agree with that stuff. I mean, historically, there is nothing to prove that Allen is going to be able to win these third, fourth, and fifth rounds, right? I mean, Max Holloway has probably what 15 5-round fights in his arsenal, and this will be Allen's first. I know he was supposed to go the full 25 against Cater, got cut short. Would have really liked to see that one play out, but I just think that there's too many unknowns with this being a 5-round fight. I'm going with the guy who I know will have stellar cardio, stellar output, and will be just throwing fucking 200 strikes in rounds 4 and 5. So I think that's big here, man. It's a 5-round fight. It's Allen's time to really step up to the plate in this one. I think he's more than deserved it. It's kind of a fucking travesty. This guy has won 10 fights in the UFC and still isn't getting a title shot, but that's just the nature of matchmaking and, featherweight division and everything. But I think eventually Max takes over here. It'll probably be like 1-1 heading into round 2 or round 3, excuse me. And then I expect Max to take over for either a late finish or a decision here. Either, 4 rounds to 1 or 3 to 2. And Max 3-4-5, seems almost like a given. You gotta stab those bets almost every time Max fights a guy not named Alex Volkanovski in a 5-round fight, and they're good prices too. 16, 18, 22 to 1 or something like that. So, Ozzy and I are seeing eye to eye on this one. It usually doesn't go our way, but hopefully the blessed one can make it happen here. So, any closing thoughts about the card as a whole?
No.
I think I mentioned earlier, but just a lot of goes the distances interest me in this fight. You mentioned Lando and Zellhuber. I think that one's good. I personally bet Jillian and Pierre to go the distance. I already bet Gutierrez and Munoz to go the distance. I think Brown-Algeo, Guida-Garcia, and Jacoby-Murzakanov all see the final bell as well. So. Um, yeah, I mean, I like a mix of props, money lines, and tempo props here. So should be a good card, really good main card. Excited to see this one go down from Kansas City, and we will see you all before the next UFC event next week. Peace out, everyone.